Welcome to Big Boof Bets. It's the Get That Money podcast. As always, I am Nate Stephenson, joined by Mr. Big Boofy Scureman and Mr. Tony T-Bone Guarino. It is week 2 of the 2020 NFL season. How you guys doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I know we didn't have quite the success we wanted in week 1, but I'm looking forward to getting some units back here in week 2.
All right, Boof. How about you, Tone?
Living the dream over here. You know, it's good to have football back. Good to get back to that weekly grind. Didn't get to play out my Sunday in the full way that I wish to this time, but I'm really looking forward to all the week 2 matchups and getting back out there and getting all those units.
I hear you, buddy. Yeah, we missed you on Sunday. I know we were definitely looking forward to getting back to the normal routine. I know me, myself, I had a decent Sundays. Can't complain. Was up a few units there at the very least, so not too bad. But unfortunately, we had a couple things break not in our favor late in a couple of these games here, and I'm sure Boof, you can expand on that a little bit here.
Yeah, guys. So we had 5 locks last week. We ended up going 2-3, putting us at 40% for the season. Obviously below where we want to be. We had the Dolphins +7. That was looking good for a little bit, then it wasn't, and then towards the end of the game, the Dolphins were able to get, I believe they were inside the 10, and Fitzpatrick threw an interception. So that one sucked because at the very least we were going to push if they kicked a field goal, and if they scored a touchdown, then we were going to cover. So that one sucked. We had the Bucs +3.5. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady got his introduction to life without Bill Belichick because they had a blocked punt. They had a kick return where nobody fielded the ball, and the Saints end up getting it. Tom Brady had 2 interceptions, one of which a wide receiver and him were just not on the same page. They had 9 penalties for over 100 yards. Just a lot of sloppy football on their part, and they obviously did not cover. The worst one for us, the worst bad beat, which was definitely a true bad beat, was the Lions -3. They were in complete control of the game the whole time. They're up 23-6 going into the fourth quarter. Blow the lead. Gets to 27-23. No big deal. Lions got enough time. They have the ball. They're driving down the field. 6 seconds left in the game. They hit DeAndre Swift in the end zone for the touchdown. Drops the ball. They do not get the go-ahead touchdown. So they kind of blew that one for us twice. That was definitely the one that upset me the most. Beyond that, we had the Bills -6.5 and the Packers +3. Both of them comfortably covered. And that was the story of our week 1 locks.
Yeah, Boof, I jumped up and was so excited after being so pissed that the Lions were blowing that.
No, we both did, dude. I'm like partying in front of my TV, and then I just see the ball rolling on the ground.
I wouldn't even look at the TV, and you're like, he dropped the ball, and I'm like, he what?
Oh, it was awful.
Hands, and I looked away. Oh, I was so incredibly upset. Oh, it leads me into one other thing I wanted to talk about here real quick before we get into this week's picks. Normally after week 1, there's a bunch of overreaction, right? And part of that, you learn and you're told as a bettor to not put too much stock into week 1 and not overreact. But at the same time, like this is 2020 COVID NFL, so at the same time, you need to put a little bit more stock into what you saw in week 1 because they didn't have a preseason and everyone's getting used to the current conditions. So like, is this how a team is going to be this year? Or are they just shaking off the rust? Like there's so many factors you have to take into account. So you can't completely ignore what you saw week 1. And honestly, one of the funniest things I came out of week 1 with was the fact that in the spirit of overreacting after week one, right now, the Super Bowl representatives will be the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC and the Washington Redskins in the NFC, since they're both in first place.
Washington football team.
I'm sorry. That's right. The Washington Taters.
We like to keep things PC around here, Nate.
I'm sorry. I'll probably be at the one of about 100,000 times I'm going to do that this year.
Also, Aaron Rodgers made a very interesting point on another podcast where he was speaking to the nature of these games right now playing out in these empty stadiums. These empty, normally incredibly loud stadiums, and how that's really affected their play calling and signaling and how they prepared for that. They knew that was going to be a factor, but even having prepared for it, they didn't realize how quiet it actually was going to be. Like, it seemed to be a lot quieter than they were even practicing. So it made them have to sort of change things up on the fly. It caused a lot of confusion and led to a lot of scenarios where, it was also beneficial. They could read things more than they normally could. And so, I mean, it was just another interesting fact where, stuff like that is kind of going to affect the nature of your betting in games. Things that you might be handicapping for when you're looking at all your betting lines. That definitely impacts that type of handicapping. So there are just a lot of different things to consider with these COVID type football games that we've never had to consider the likes of before. So it's just interesting stuff to take a step back and think about.
Oh, agreed. I mean, almost every game is a neutral site game. It's crazy.
But it's nice to know that the Jacksonville Jaguars still haven't forgotten how to be the parlay fudgers. Sorry, we keep it PC for the kids.
Yeah, so far they are 1-0 in that department as well.
All right, well, a moment of silence for my week one parlays that included all of Jacksonville. Thank you. So now that we've moved on from that moment of silence, how about we get into this week's games?
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
All right, well, we'll kick things off on Thursday as always. This week, you got the Ohio Showdown between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are going to be laying 6 here, and your over-under is at 43.5.
Boof, initially there was a part of me, it's like, you know what? Cleveland don't look too good. Liked what I saw from Joe Burrow. Bengals getting 6 points. Like, you know what? I could get down with that. But at the same time, the Bengals were still drafting first overall last year. And Cleveland is still showing themselves to suck. And I'm reminded of an age-old equation that we've talked about many times and sometimes you just have to adhere to. And it's, poop plus poop equals poop. And I don't want this poop.
You know what, man? I can't argue with the math there. I kind of had the same initial thoughts. I was impressed with the Bengals, even with their loss last week. And obviously Cleveland got steamrolled, but they were playing Baltimore, so you got to keep that in mind. Just a couple extra unknowns here. You know what I mean? We got short week. Burrow's a rookie. He's going to be playing on a Thursday night on the road. First time him going through that kind of routine. I don't know, just too much unknown for me. I will be staying away. If I do happen to put in the same game parlay, it will probably include the Bengals +6 and the over. But neither one of those are, do I feel strongly enough to lock them or anything like that.
Fair enough.
Okay, moving on into Sunday, we'll kick things off with the Atlanta Falcons at the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are laying 4.5, and the over-under is at 52.
I like the Falcons +4.5 here. Dallas having a lot of injuries on the offensive line, not looking great against the Rams last week. Not that the Falcons exactly looked fantastic against Seattle, but at the same time, I got to question if Dallas is going to be able to score enough this game to actually get it done. And Atlanta's getting 4.5 points, looking good on offense. And if Dallas still looks kind of just so offensively, I don't know if they're going to be able to take enough advantage of Atlanta on defense, at least to the extent that Seattle did last week. So you're giving me 4.5, basically at a neutral site dome game. It's not going to be much of an adjustment at all for Atlanta. I like the Falcons. Give me the 4.5 points.
Yeah, I guess I see the game the same way. I just don't love it. You know what I mean? I like it. I don't love it. And pretty much the reasons you said. The biggest one for me is your comment about the offensive line, because I feel for Dallas, the strength of that team has been the offensive line in recent years. I mean, the year that they went 13-3, those guys were all healthy the whole way through the season. You know, Zeke was rolling on everybody. I think that was Dak's, first year taking over as the starter. But it does seem when those guys get injured, and obviously Travis Frederick isn't playing at all this year, and then La'el Collins is out. So they're down 2 out of 5 guys. And that's just historically has been a problem for them, and I think it will continue to be a problem. So I would take Atlanta, but not quite enough to lock it.
All right, up next we have the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. The Buffalo Bills laying 5.5 in your over-under at 41.
All right, so I already know that one of us is a much bigger fan, and I know which way we're both going here. So, Boof, I think you should take the lead on this one.
I do. I like the Bills minus 5.5. They look good. I know they were playing the Jets last week, but they look good. Even with Josh Allen fumbling the ball twice in plus territory, where they were looking like they were going to go in and score, the Bills still comfortably covered last week against the Jets. I think they clean it up a little this week. They beat the Dolphins twice last year. It was 31-21 and 37-20. And just kind of a funny note, I was uncharacteristically a little bit hesitant during our discussion today, despite all these things. And Nate, of all people, was the one that said, you know what, man, I really want to lock it. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I've been circling the wagons for over a year now. Am I really going to let Nate circle the wagons and not have me circle the wagons? I'm circling them, baby. Bills minus 5.5.
I love it, baby. Circle them up. Get that money. You know I'm with you on all of it, son. Nothing more even need to be said. Get that money.
Get that money.
All right, up next we have the Carolina Panthers at the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Bucks are going to lay 9 here in your over-under at 48.
Brady sucks. Should have never got him. Might as well trade him now. Get Jameis Winston back.
Fire Tomlin.
Fire Tomlin. Oh, wait a minute.
That's Fire Arians.
Fire Arians. Wrong team. Oh, man. Overreaction. Week 2. Don't worry, Tampa Bay fans. The Bucs will be all right. You just, week 1, no preseason, new team, new scheme. Tom Brady will get it together. I definitely like the Bucs to get in the win column this week. The only thing that gives me a little bit of pause is laying more than a touchdown. The Panthers do have some weaponry on offense. They put up a lot of points in week 1. The Bucs did, they did give up 34 points, I believe it was, to New Orleans. However, 7 of those were, officially 6 of those courtesy of Tom Brady. So again, they still gave up 27 points on defense. So just, not extremely confident to lay that many points with the Bucs. Like them to win. Also, I would entertain the over in this game just because of the firepower the Bucs have on offense and how much the Panthers appeared to show in week 1. So, honestly, my favorite bet in this game is probably over 48. And so if you even get a nice little money line and over parlay on FanDuel, normally has those packaged together at plus money, I could definitely think that'd be a nice little single bet there you could get on. Otherwise, passing on the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about the Bucs here. It's still -9. It's over a touchdown. It's a lot of points to lay. And some of this stuff, I don't know if they're just going to cure overnight. Like, I don't know if Brady's going to be able to get on the same page with these guys in a week. I definitely worry about the penalties. That's something they really need to clean up. The special team stuff, they got to get that cleaned up. All of it is very curable, but I don't know if they do get it all cured. And again, we're talking about laying 9. We're not talking about laying like 1.5 here. So it's enough to scare me away. I would take the Bucks, but there is enough stuff to scare me away.
All right, well, speaking of Fire Tomlin, our next game we'll look at is the Denver Broncos at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are going to lay 7.5, and your over-under is at another low of 41.5.
You know what? You guys are going to laugh at me. I was watching the Broncos-Titans game after the Steeler game on Monday night. And fast forward to the end of the game, and the Titans are driving down, and it's obvious at this point it's either going to be a touchdown or a field goal, and it's time for the Broncos to use their timeouts to give themselves a chance, at the end of the game here. And like even I can't remember who was on the call of the game, but even the commentators are screaming like, what's Fangio, however the heck his name is, what's he doing? Like, why isn't he calling timeout? And I couldn't help but like watching that, just like, oh my God, it's someone managing the clock worse than Mike Tomlin. Like I literally couldn't wait to actually share with you guys, like, hey guys, you know what? I found someone in the NFL who's actually worse at managing the clock than Mike Tomlin. It's unbelievable. It happens. It exists. And then magically as well, he had the team looking great. I liked how he managed the game. So I don't know. Maybe Tomlin's turning over a new leaf this year. Maybe I'm turning over a new leaf this year. I don't know, man. It's 2020 strange times. I think Tomlin's a good coach. I don't know what's going on here. Oh man, but by the way, for the record, I've always thought Tomlin's a good coach. He frustrates the heck out of me, and I drive Boofy crazy with wanting to fire him after 2 stupid calls. So
I'm glad we got that on the record, though. One more time for the people, Nate.
I think Tomlin is a good coach.
Thank you.
I just sometimes want to it drives me crazy. Anyway, back to the story at hand here. I like the Steelers to win. I thought our boy Tomlin had him looking pretty good in week 1. A little shaky at the start, but thought of the team. I mean, no preseason, shaking off the rust. Big Ben, over a year layoff, shaking off the rust, no preseason. So all in all, I thought they pulled it together pretty quickly. Liked how they got the job done against the G-men. I expect them to do the same against the Broncos. I don't like laying over a touchdown because the Steelers just have a penchant for rarely blowing out teams that they're supposed to. Not that I think they should blow out the Broncos, but do I think they should beat them by more than a touchdown? Yes, I do. The Broncos, however, are a good team. I just think the Steelers are a lot better. So don't feel like laying over a touchdown. Honestly, I think the best bet in this game for me is over 41.5, just because the Broncos do have some firepower on offense. The Steelers seem to be getting things going on offensively themselves. And so, I mean, I could easily see another similar score to the Giants game. I mean, that was 26-16, which is 42 points, which is barely over, but it's still over. And considering I expect them to get started earlier this week, I could easily see close in the high 40s, if not breaking 50 this week with the total. So yeah, that's my favorite bet of the game. So again, similar to the Bucks, if you could get a Steelers money line and over package parlay on FanDuel for plus money, I think that's not a bad bet.
Yeah, I think the over is probably my favorite pick in this as well. Just some things to think about. I mean, after the first quarter of the Giants game, the Steelers offense really did get clicking. So I think that's reason to be optimistic about them moving forward. The Broncos did not have KJ Handler or Cortland Sutton for their first game. Now, Sutton is still questionable for this week. KJ Handler is expected to play. Furthermore, the Broncos defense, A.J. Boye, got injured in the Titans game, so they're down a man in the secondary. They've already were down Von Miller going into the season. So their defense is a little banged up at some important spots. You're talking about covering the team's best receiver and their best pass rusher. So I think there's a lot of reason for optimism as far as scoring points. I think that's a good call on the money line and over parlay. I might hit that one up myself. I think that's interesting. But yeah, that's how I see the game, and that's what I like.
Go Stellars.
Just to give you that real quick, the money line, the Steelers money line, and over on FanDuel is at a plus 145. That's Steelers money line and over 41.5 points. If you are attracted to the over in this game, of course, there are variants on the parlays there. You can hit all the way down to a Steelers money line and over 33.5 points. That only at a minus 160, but still is, I think, an improvement over a straight money line bet on the Steelers.
Hey, yeah, man. I mean, 30. We'll definitely hit 33.
Absolutely.
All right, so moving on to the next game, we have the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are going to lay 6, and your over-under is at 49.
So last year, the Lions only lost to the Packers by 3 points and 1 point. However, the Lions are currently in the doghouse for me right now. I want to take +6 so bad. I really do. But last week's frustration with them and then the Packers looking really good against the Vikings just scares me away from this. So I'm passing on the game.
I like the Packers -6 here. For me, they whooped up on the Vikings last week. And I see the Vikings as a better team than the Lions are. And the Packers did that one at Minnesota. This time they're going to be at home. I know they played them tough both games last year, but this is a new season. And it was funny, we're watching the game, and early in the game there was a drive where Rodgers, it seemed like, had an opportunity to run it into the end zone, but he may have taken a little contact, and he elected not to do so. And I'm like cursing him out on the TV, calling him soft and everything. And he proceeds to throw for like 320 yards after that moment, just dropping dimes on everybody. So I don't know. Rodgers looked awesome after that. I look for him to continue that level of play against the Lions, and I like the Packers -6.
Up next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans. Titans will have to lay 8. And the over-under is at 42.
All right, the Jags come back to reality this week. I'm sorry that they had their fun. They got their over concerns out of the way early this year. Now it's time to come back to reality. I'm sorry. There's no way. There's no way. Titans -8. Derrick Henry's going to curb stomp them all. Ryan Tannehill's going to throw over them all. They did it last year to the tune of 42-20. I expect a lot of the same. Titans roll. Give me the -8. Easy. Take it to the bank. Done. Lock it in. I'm ready to lock this.
So am I, Nate. I love the Titans -8.5 here. I think Jacksonville kind of gave everything they had last week, and I don't think they're going to be able to repeat that performance again. Tennessee, like you said, they whooped on them last season. They did actually lose the first game, but that was with Mariota. That was before Tannehill took over, and they got hot. When Tannehill took over and they played, you said 42-20. So it was a beatdown last year. I expect another beatdown this week. Hopefully Gostkowski will make all his kicks this time, assuming he's still the kicker come Sunday. And and I'm with you. I got Titans -8.5. I feel great about it. And I believe that's another lock for us.
Lock it in. Get that money.
Moving on, we have the Los Angeles Rams at the Philadelphia Eagles. Game's been bouncing around a little bit, but currently we have the Rams at -1.5 and the over-under at 46.5.
So, yeah, the Eagles are just continuing to get more and more injured again this year, just like last year. I mean, my God, it's just unbelievable how the injuries keep piling up for them. Like, I literally, to the point you're starting to feel bad for them. They're up 17-0 against the Redskins. It's like, oh, okay, that game's over. And then
football team.
You're right. The Washington football team somehow miraculously came back, and then before you know it, we see, boom, it's 17-17, and then it's 2017, and it's 27-17. And it's like, what the heck happened? We obviously knew that the Eagles were already down 2 offensive linemen. Then you find out that they were down 2 more offensive linemen throughout the game, one through injury and another through cramping at some point. So you had the Eagles literally down to their last backup playing on the offensive line against one of the best defensive lines in the league. And it started to make a lot more sense why all of a sudden that game just got turned on its heels. So all that, the Eagles are now going to be facing in the Rams defensive line, another one of the best defensive lines in the league, and the best defensive lineman in the league in Aaron Donald. I'm sorry. Like, just seeing what the Redskins D-line did to them, there's no way I feel comfortable with the Eagles at all in this game. I liked what I saw with the Rams against the Cowboys last week, and you're giving them to me at a pick 'em. I love that. I will take that all day. Jared Goff seems to be looking like his self from 2 years ago. And I mean, honestly, I got to question whether or not that has to do with the fact that there's no crowd noise in the stadium, which means McVay can just play Madden basically through Jared Goff's helmet and tell him what to throw the ball every play. But hey, right now, that's the reality of the NFL. There's no crowd noise. So if that's what they're doing, they can get away with it. Jared Goff looked good. Rams looked good. The Eagles did not. Rams all day, baby. I'll lock that, Boof.
Yeah, like Tone said, this line has bounced around. On Fox Bet, we do have it at a pick 'em here, so I'm going to get in on that as well. I love the Rams, straight up pick 'em, and they look good against the Cowboys. The Eagles lost to Washington. I don't care how it happened. That's crap. They're very banged up on offense. Like you said, you got a bad mismatch with Donald against a banged up offensive line. And I look for the Rams to win this one easily. It's one of my favorite picks of the week, and I'm going to lock that one in with you, Nate.
Lock it in. Get that money.
Up next, we have the Minnesota Vikings at the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are going to lay 3, and the over-under is at 48.
All right, so I know one of the things that I said last week about the Colts was I need to see what Phillip Rivers is going to do. Like, he was the X factor in what prevented me from laying the points with the Colts. Well, not only did the Colts not cover, they didn't win. In large part, thanks to Phillip Rivers doing exactly what we were scared of, and that's throwing the ball to the other team. So now you have a better team coming to town in the Minnesota Vikings, a team that very likely or possibly could be a playoff team again this year, as they were last year, and they are getting 3 points. I like the Vikes +3 here a lot. The Vikes don't have far to travel. You're still basically looking at a similar home field, even though they're on the road. They're basically in a dome. There's a lot for me to like here with the Vikes at +3. I like it. I know I keep saying I like it. I like it. I like the Vikes +3. I will lock it.
Yeah, I love the Vikings +3. Let's just call it what it is. The Colts lost to what we consider to be the worst team in the NFL. And I still feel that way about Jacksonville, even after their Week 1 win. The Vikings, I know they got beat up a little bit by the Packers there, but I still think this is a solid football team. I like them to win the game. You're going to give me 3 points. I love that. I am going to lock that in with you.
Oh, lock it in, baby. Get that money.
Another pick I also like. I will say I like the over in this game. Just kind of thinking about it here. Vikings gave up. What was it there? They gave up 43 to the Packers. Is that right? It's 43 to 34 in the game?
43, yep.
All right. So their defense is obviously not as good as it's been in recent years. They were still able to score 34 on Green Bay, so the offense was still clicking. The Colts, in a loss, they still managed to get 450 yards. So I do think there's reason to believe that they could get some points in this game. And I think it is doable to cover 48. That's not a ridiculously high number there. So I will say I also like that pick if you're looking to tack some stuff on for a home run style parlay.
And they gave up 27 to the Jags too, man. So
yeah, exactly. And their defense was less than impressive.
Yep. But you're right. They did have a red zone, deep red zone turnover as well. So that's 3 to 7 points off the board as well there for the Colts. So I agree. I think the over is a good call.
All right, plenty of action to think about in that one. So let's move on to our next game, which is the New York Giants at the Chicago Bears. The Bears are going to lay 5.5, and your over/under is at 42.5.
I still think the Bears are not a very good football team, and they got severely lucky/gifted a victory last week in multiple forms. Giants impressed me a little bit against the Steelers. I liked what I saw offensively from them. Honestly, they were two red zone turnovers away from putting up 10 to 14 more points on a very quality Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So I liked what I saw out of Danny Dimes. He was throwing the ball really well. The one interception he had was deflected. And I'm sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head what the other one was, but I do remember the one was a deflected ball. So I know the Bears are pretty.
The other one was the TJ Watt one.
Yes, that was an amazing.
That was intercepted like right at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's just amazing. That's an amazing athletic feat there.
Amazing play.
Yeah, now I remember that exactly. You're right. So just kind of two bad luck plays for Danny Dimes there. I liked what I saw, how he was throwing the ball, how the offense was moving at times. I don't expect Saquon to go for only 6 yards on 15 carries again. I really believe he was the victim of a great Steeler defensive game plan and a team that was literally just keying on him. He's way too good of a player to have a back-to-back performances like that, in my opinion. So he's going to want to shake that off. So I like the Giants with the points. I think that's a pretty solid bet. Also, something else I personally like again in this game. It worked out well for me in the first Bears game. I'm going to go back to the well again this week, most likely. And that is the under passing yards for Mitchell Trubisky. He was at 254.5 last week. I took the under, and even with the Bears in super comeback mode in the fourth quarter and second half there, he still only finished in the 240s. So I hit the under on that, and his rushing prop, I believe, was at 13.5. He went 3 for 26. So I had a nice little combo player prop parlay that worked out very well for me, hitting the over in the rushing and the under in the passing. I will probably be going to that well again until it doesn't hit for me. So I'd recommend doing that again.
Yeah, I mean, I still think the Bears are not very good. I think they put together one good quarter of football and 3 bad ones. So we'll see how that translates moving forward. My biggest concern with the Giants is they really struggled to block Bud Dupree last game. And now they're going to have to deal with Khalil Mack. So the matchup gets even tougher on an individual basis there. So that alone was enough to kind of scare me away, and I will be passing on the game.
Okay, so that takes us to our final 1 o'clock game on Sunday, which will feature the San Francisco 49ers at the New York Jets. The 49ers are laying 7, and your over-under is at 42.5.
All right, so speaking of trash, we have the Jets. Referred to them as trash in the season preview. Referred to them as trash last week. I will continue to refer to them as trash because they are trash and they suck. We're picking against them as much as possible. The 49ers are way better than them, even with their injuries on offense to Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. I don't care. The Niners are going to be coming in hungry, looking for that first win, and you're giving me them only laying a touchdown. I think defense alone could potentially score enough points to beat the Jets. So, yeah, give me the Niners all day. And also another player prop I like, Sam Darnold under passing yards if he's in the 240s. I did not I did not look for that last week. I will be looking for that this week because I think that's something that is a very, very juicy under there if you can get it in that range. And by the way, Boof, I did refer to him as Sam Darnold, not Chase Darnold.
I don't know why I was calling him Chase Darnold, dude. I really don't.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that until later. I didn't. It was like, man, that sounds weird. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, he called him Chase Darnold. So, but yeah, that's what I like this game. And over to you there, Chief.
Yeah, same thing, man. This isn't as much as me, thinking the Niners are just unbeatable or anything, as it is the Jets just stink. And like you said, we've told you that for 2 weeks now. Continue to ride it. It's just one score. I don't care who's hurt. Jets or the 49ers are just going to run the ball for 300 instead. It's no big deal. We'll cover that. No problem. 49ers -7. I love it. And let's lock that one in as well.
Lock it in, baby. Get that money.
Okay, so that takes us to 4 o'clock, which will kick things off with the Washington football team at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are going to lay 6.5, and your over-under is at 46.5.
Similar to the Jags, I almost did it again. The Washington football team, they got their over out of the way early. They're going to be happy. Now they're going to be playing not only a real football team, but a really good football team in the Arizona Cardinals, who, if you paid attention to my predictions thus far, said they're going to have a pretty good year this year and take the points against the Niners. Not only did they cover against the Niners, they won last week. So the marriage of Mr. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins already off to a fantastic start. They connected 14 times last week to the tune of, I don't know how many yards because I can't remember, but it was a lot. And it was
over 150.
There we go. Over 150 yards. I expect more of the same this week. That Cards team, I think, is just scratching the surface of its potential, and they're facing a bottom feeder in Washington this week. So laying under a touchdown at home, I think, is easy money. I am locking that in.
Yeah, man. I said last week, I liked all your points about the Cardinals, but I'm going to need to see it. Well, I've seen it, baby, and I'm in. Cardinals -6.5 against a terrible Washington team. I don't care that they beat Philly. The way they ended up beating Philly, they were down 17-0 at the end of the first half. They get an interception from Wentz, turn it into a touchdown. Then they get another interception from Wentz to start the second half. They turned that into a touchdown, and it was a completely different ball game. I don't see that happening against the Cardinals. Give me the Cards, -6.5. I love it. Let's lock another one in.
Lock it in, baby. Get that money.
All right, so staying in 4 o'clock. Up next, we have the Baltimore Ravens at the Houston Texans. Ravens are laying 7 with the over-under at 52.
So let's start this one out by saying last year, when the Texans had DeAndre Hopkins, the Ravens scrubbed them 41-7. That was when the Texans were better. Now the Texans don't have DeAndre Hopkins. They have injuries at wide receiver still. I say still because they did last week. And unfortunately for them, Bill O'Brien is also still their coach. So the Ravens only laying 7. Yes, I will take that all day. I'll probably even get a little greedy and give points away with the Ravens up to like 14, get some plus money. I'm going to do that a little bit later here pretty soon. You'll see with, not surprisingly, who that's with and why. But I think the Ravens scrub them, and the Texans start to question their identity a little bit at going home 0-2.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Baltimore last week. Lamar Jackson is the reigning MVP, and this is only his 3rd season in the league. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So, typically guys continue to get better, in their first few years. So I expect him – he looked amazing last week, and I expect him to continue to just be awesome. I love the Ravens -7, and we can lock another one in.
Oh, lock it in, baby. Get that money. And I got to say one more thing here before we move on. And because I'm sure both you guys will I'd like both you guys to chime in on this a little bit. When I saw Michael Vick, like that was one of the most amazing talents I'd ever seen at the quarterback position. Like just the mix of like pure athlete and arm talent and everything. It's just one of those things where you saw him and you thought he was just a once in a generation thing. And like Lamar Jackson is better than that. Like he's like everything Michael Vick was, but already more polished than Michael Vick ever was as a passer, better than he ever was as a runner. And right now, it's only his third year in the league. Like he's only getting better. Like it's just amazing to me.
I would say he's been like on par with Vic from a skill set. Like I'd say he's as good of a runner. Definitely a better passer than Vic earlier in his career, but Vic was a pretty good passer with the Eagles. The biggest thing for me is he has all these things, but he's in a system that highlights everything that he does. So it enhances his game. You know what I mean? So in that sense, yes, he's been better and been able to do more.
But we haven't seen his pit bull training skills yet. So, history has yet to write itself to who's better.
Oh my God.
All right. Wrapping up our 4:00 games on Sunday, we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chiefs laying 8.5. And you're over-under at 46.5.
Tony, can you find me a line anywhere where the Chiefs are laying about 45?
I'm sure you can buy it if you want.
Chiefs, come on. They're going to scrub them. The Chargers barely beat the Bengals. Barely. They shouldn't have. They have injuries on defense. Of all places, in the secondary. Dude, Pat Mahomes is watching Chargers defensive film right now and making sounds like the Cookie Monster. He's like, nom, 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 nom. He's just ready to eat them up. Dude, it's over. Remember I said I'm going to be taking another team, giving more points away like the Ravens? Yeah, it's the Chiefs. Take it to the bank. Lay the points. Bet your house on it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, man. Chiefs minus 8.5. I was not impressed with the Chargers last week. They struggled to move the ball against Cincinnati, and I think the Chiefs' defense is better than Cincinnati's. And the Chiefs' offense scores on everybody, so I'm not worried about that. Chiefs minus 8.5, easy to cover, and we're going to lock up the whole 4:00 slate here, baby.
Oh, lock it in. Get that money. Chiefs.
All right, so let's move into the final 8:00 game on Sunday, which will be between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks, with the Seahawks laying 3.5, and you're over under at 44.5.
All right, so I like the Seahawks to win the game here. As I said earlier this season, I just think the Seahawks are one of the better teams in the NFC. And right now, like after the first game, that offense looks like it's on pace to have an amazing season. Russell Wilson with two awesome weapons on the outside and lock it in. DK, Donkey Kong is here, Metcalf. Boofy's boy. They looked really good against the Falcons, and that was against a Falcons team that played pretty well the second half of last season defensively. So I don't think that was no small task. The points that they put up against them. Seahawks traditionally play pretty good at home. I know part of that is normally connected to the actual crowded home field crowd advantage that you normally have. They won't have that. So that is something to definitely take into consideration. The fact that it is 4 points, I don't like laying over a field goal against a quality team, especially any team called the Patriots. So that definitely gives me a little bit of pause there. So, yeah, it's one of those ones where, like, I could see the Seahawks winning by a touchdown or I could see them winning by a field goal. I don't see them blowing them out. And plus, we all know the Pats are definitely going to run the ball a lot, which is going to shorten the game. So, yeah, we're going to pass this one.
I was impressed with both teams last week. Seattle looked awesome. I know I said during our team total preview, like season preview episode, that I think the Seahawks would be better if they would just embrace Russell Wilson more and kind of become more of a throw-first team. And I think they did that a little bit more against Atlanta, and I thought the team benefited a lot from it. I just thought New England looked pretty good last week too as well. Obviously, it's Belichick, so you always got to be afraid of any team that he's in charge of. You know, they still got Stephon Gilmore. They held the Dolphins in check defensively. And like Nate said, I mean, offensively, they're going to run the ball a lot. It's going to chew up the clock, going to be a little tighter. And truthfully, I wouldn't be shocked if New England found a way to win the game anyway. So this will be a pass for me.
All right, so now we wrap up our week with our Monday night game featuring the New Orleans Saints at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Saints laying 6 in your over-under at 51.
If this were a healthy New Orleans Saints team, I would be ready to lay the 5.5 all day. But you have Michael Thomas looking very, very doubtful, if not already declared out. That is a huge, huge part of their offense. Huge. It's one of those things where the Saints offense is definitely good enough where they can still win without him. But if you're asking me to lay almost a touchdown on the road, I just don't feel comfortable doing that. The Raiders defense, it's definitely not an elite D. Yeah, I would say it's average at best. Last week being further evidence of that, the Panthers scored at will on them. So I would say the safest thing in this game is the Saints money line. But even then, like, do you really want to take the Saints money line if Michael Thomas isn't playing? So I'm gonna pass this game.
Yeah, I know when we were talking, we were gonna take the Saints, and then we did. We realized that Michael Thomas was out. We were liking the over, and same thing. His injury, he just means so much to their offense. He accounts for so much of it. They're definitely gonna miss him. One thing to keep an eye out for: pay attention for Emmanuel Sanders. He'll obviously be the guy that's going to be, or the most logical choice to get most of those targets. If his receiving total comes in anywhere in the neighborhood of like 55 or something, I think it was at 42 last week. So if they give him, 10-yard bump up, I would definitely hammer the over on that. I think that'd be a great prop bet. But as far as the game goes, I will be passing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that prop bet, Boof. Good call, absolutely.
All right, well, that wraps up all of our games for this week. Boofy, as always, if you want to take us out with the locks.
Oh, we can do that for you. This week we have 8. That's right, 8 locks. We got the Bills minus 5.5, Titans minus 8. We got the Rams in a pick'em, Vikings plus 3, 49ers minus 7, Cardinals minus 6.5, Ravens minus 7, and Nate's Chiefs minus 8.5. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast to everyone you know. Best of luck to everybody, and let's get that money.
Get that money. I think Tomlin's a good coach.